Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a book review for you guys. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amy. I am a yoga instructor, Reiki practitioner, student of holistic nutrition and massage therapy. And every month I try to pick one book that I think could be beneficial to gain some knowledge and insights on how to improve health. I am on a journey myself on how to improve my health, and I also like to share what I learn with some people who might be interested in it as well. So the book pick of the month was Breath by James Nestor, and it was a New York Times bestseller. I cannot recommend this book enough. I found it so interesting. It was easy to read. It was scientifically based, but it wasn't like a bunch of scientific mumbo jumbo that nobody understands. It was very simplistic for the layman like me. I loved it. It talked about a lot of interesting things that happen within the body, the way we breathe, and how a lot of us actually breathe incorrectly. And then it spoke on the effects of mouth breathing and how detrimental that is to your health. So as a yogi, this was really significant for me because we're always taught in yoga classes to breathe in and out through the nose, where we close the mouth. And that's rooted in ancient practices coming from India, and now it is backed up by science, which was super, super interesting. So basically the premise of this book is that the author goes on a world journey to study the effects of mouth breathing and to study the effects of breathing itself. So he goes through all different countries and he does a bunch of laboratory tests on himself and with one of his colleagues. Basically for the first couple of weeks, they plug up their nose and they only breathe through their mouth to find out the detrimental effects that happen through mouth breathing, and they were substantial. So I'm not going to give it away because you can read the book if you're interested, but their health declined, they became pale-faced, there was a lot of issues that were going on within them. And then when they did the opposite, when they taped their mouth and they forced themselves to only breathe through their nose, all of those health issues were completely reversed and they actually improved significantly, which was very interesting to me. The other thing that was really cool about this book was that it talked about the importance, speaking in terms of a yogi again, it talked about the importance of the exhalation. Because again, in yoga, a lot of the time we're taught breathe into the belly and then try to make the exhale longer than the inhale. And this book again delves into that and explains the science behind it and how it's the release of the carbon dioxide. And how that actually affects how the body functions and the way that we absorb oxygen, which I thought was super, super interesting because it improves athletic performance and it actually makes us healthier overall. So I thought that that was a really cool thing to really discuss, that the exhalation is actually more important than the inhalation. That sometimes by hypoventilation, it can be a better practice. Something else that was cool about this about that specifically was that it talked about carbon dioxide therapy. So again, I don't want to give too much of it away because you can read it in the book, but basically you go into a laboratory and you do treatments with carbon dioxide where the brain is tricked into thinking that it's suffocating. It's not actually because of the system that they're using, but instead they're training the body to be able to go longer periods without the oxygenation, which increases their VO2 max and makes them absorb and utilize oxygen better. So these are techniques that like free divers use, or anybody who needs to hold their breath for long periods of time. So any of those tribes that do fishing just by themselves and swimming, some of them can hold their breath up to 10 minutes underwater, which is incredible. So the fact that we can actually change the mind, change the brain and psychology, or psychiatry, I guess, I don't know, psychology of this. Anyway, the working of the brain, how we can change that to actually trick the body to be able to go without oxygen for longer periods of time and still improve our health. I thought that was just fascinating. The other thing too that was interesting from the perspective of a yogi was that they spoke about the monks and the pranayama techniques that are used in the Himalayas, which again we encounter in our yoga practices. And it does talk about some of those pranayamas, the breath work that we use in our practice. So in the Himalayas, there are monks that live out in the mountains, and basically they wear their robes. They sometimes are barefoot, and I mean it's snowing, so it's pretty cold there. But what they do to be able to survive these temperatures is they use the breath of fire, which if anyone has come to my yoga classes, sometimes I do practices, particularly when we do vinyasa flows. I do talk about the breath of fire and teach you how to do that. But they actually are able to regulate their heart rate and body temperature just based on the breath. So some really, really experienced monks and yogis can increase their heart rate up to insane beats per minute and also decrease them down to really, really, really low beats per minute, which is according to studies and science, in theory, we would say is impossible, but they're able to do that while keeping a neutral face. So I thought that that was super cool to learn about the effects of the breath on heart rate and on body temperature. I think as a yogi specifically, that's super cool. And it's good for people to know because we can defy the limits that we impose on ourselves, meaning that the human body is a lot more capable of things than what we would perceive them to be. The other things that I really enjoyed about this was the techniques that were used to learn how to breathe properly. So one of the people spoken about in the book was a pulmonologist and a choir instructor. He taught people how to sing properly. I'm sorry, I don't know the terms, but he teaches people how to breathe properly who are in the choir. So the way you hold your mouth, when you breathe in, how you breathe in, doing specific techniques to increase that can obviously improve singing and choir performance. But the same guy actually went to, and there's not scientific studies done on this because I don't believe he was a real doctor. You can read about it in the book, interesting as well. But he would go to hospitals and he would work with people with emphysema and asthma, MS, and other issues related to the lungs or body issues. And he would use these techniques on them. And in a lot of cases, their breathing actually improved, which meant that their symptoms of illness decreased. So I thought that it was just a super, super, super cool book. And I would highly recommend them, especially if you're interested in yoga or if you're interested in overall health, because this book was kind of enlightening. It uses, well, the name was The New Science of a Lost Art. So something that we've kind of lost over the years. It is interesting to get back to. I also liked the way that the author talked about the effects of mouth breathing on dental and on the shape of the skull. So since we became, since we stopped being hunter-gatherers and we've not been chewing as much, the jaw shape has actually weakened and become smaller. And also due to breathing through the mouth, it's caused problems with sleep and the structure of the jaw and the mouth as well, which has led to a lot of crooked teeth, etc. Which, by the way, if you are interested in doing myofacial therapy, you should check out my friend Alex, who works over at the Clinton Dental Office, Biological Dentistry, which I can't recommend enough. They are awesome. She is awesome. If you're interested in learning more about basically tongue yoga and how to breathe correctly and how to hold your mouth correctly. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that properly. Alex can do a much better job of that. But anyways, it can have effects on dental and the shape of the jaw, which maybe can, if you're a kid, can reduce the need for braces. So if that's something that you're interested in, please go and check her out. She can provide you with some really quality information that is backed up by things that are in this book. So I would highly recommend going to check that out. If you need any help contacting her, please let me know and I can try to guide you through the proper channels. So anyways, that's my book review for the month of April. I hope you enjoyed it. I loved this book. I'm going to put it up as probably one of my favorite reads so far this year. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, as always, please feel free to let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, I will see you next time. So thank you very much and have a good day. Happy reading.